Most people look at watermelon and think, that is basically just sugar and water, there is no way that helps with weight loss. And honestly, that is a completely understandable assumption. It is sweet, it feels indulgent, and it does not exactly scream diet food. But here is what most people do not know. Watermelon is one of the most effective natural appetite suppressants you can eat, and the science behind why it works is genuinely fascinating. Today we are going to break down exactly how watermelon helps you reduce hunger, eat less, and lose weight, and by the end of this video you are going to understand not just what watermelon does, but how to use it strategically to get real results. If you find this kind of nutrition content useful, hit that like button before we get into it. It helps more people find this channel. And let's get into it right now. Alright, the first reason watermelon is so effective at reducing hunger comes down to something beautifully simple, its water content. Watermelon is approximately 92% water by weight. That is not a small number. That means when you eat a large 2-cup serving of watermelon, the vast majority of what you are putting into your stomach is water, and that water takes up physical space. Your stomach has stretch receptors built into its walls. When those receptors detect that your stomach is filling up, they send signals through the vagus nerve directly to your brain telling it that you are getting full. This happens regardless of whether the volume in your stomach comes from calories or from water. Your brain responds to the stretch, not the calorie count. So when you eat a generous serving of watermelon before a meal or as a snack, you are physically filling your stomach with a high-volume, low-calorie food that triggers those fullness signals before you have consumed very many calories at all. This is actually one of the core principles behind volumetric eating, a dietary approach supported by a significant body of research, which holds that eating high-volume, low-calorie density foods is one of the most sustainable ways to reduce overall calorie intake without feeling deprived. Watermelon fits that principle almost perfectly. You can eat a large, satisfying portion, feel genuinely full, and have consumed a relatively small number of calories in the process. Which leads us directly into reason number 2, calorie density. Calorie density refers to how many calories are packed into a given weight or volume of food. Foods with high calorie density, think nuts, cheese, bread, processed snacks, deliver a lot of calories in a small amount of food. Foods with low calorie density deliver very few calories in a large amount of food. Watermelon has one of the lowest calorie densities of any food you can eat. A full cup of watermelon contains roughly 46 calories. 2 cups, which is a genuinely generous, filling portion, is around 90 calories. To put that in perspective, a single handful of almonds contains about the same number of calories. Now think about what that means practically. If you eat 2 cups of watermelon before lunch, you have consumed roughly 90 calories, filled your stomach with water and fiber, triggered stretch receptors in your stomach wall, and arrived at your meal already partially full. The result is that you naturally eat less at that meal, not because you are forcing yourself to, but because your body is already signaling that it does not need as much. This is the calorie density advantage of watermelon in action. It lets you eat by volume, large, satisfying portions, while keeping your overall calorie intake low. And for anyone trying to lose weight, that combination of satisfaction and calorie control is extremely valuable. Before we keep going, if you are finding this helpful, drop a like on the video and leave a comment below telling me how you currently use watermelon. And check the description and the pinned comment below for helpful resources related to this topic. Alright, reason number 3 is fiber, and this one is a little more nuanced than most people expect. Watermelon is not a particularly high fiber food compared to something like broccoli or lentils. But it does contain a meaningful amount of dietary fiber, roughly 0.6 grams per cup, and when you combine that fiber with the high water content, you get a slowing effect on digestion that contributes to sustained fullness. Here's why fiber matters for hunger. When fiber moves through your digestive system, it slows the rate at which your stomach empties and the rate at which nutrients are absorbed into your bloodstream. That slower digestion keeps you feeling full for longer after eating. It also helps prevent the rapid blood sugar fluctuations that trigger hunger cravings shortly after a meal. The fiber in watermelon also feeds beneficial bacteria in your gut. A healthy gut microbiome is increasingly linked to better regulation of hunger hormones, particularly ghrelin, which is the hormone that signals to your brain that it is time to eat. When your gut bacteria are well fed and functioning properly, your hunger hormone regulation tends to be more stable, which means fewer sudden hunger spikes throughout the day. So while watermelon is not going to replace high-fiber foods like vegetables and legumes in your diet, the fiber it does contain, combined with its water content, contributes meaningfully to the overall satiety picture. Now this next one surprises most people. Reason number 4 is an amino acid called citrulline. Watermelon is one of the richest natural dietary sources of L-citrulline, an amino acid that your body converts into L-arginine, which in turn supports nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide helps relax and widen blood vessels, which improves circulation and supports cardiovascular function. But here is the connection to appetite and weight management that most people miss. Research suggests that citrulline may play a role in reducing fat accumulation and supporting metabolic function. Additionally, because citrulline supports better blood flow and nutrient delivery throughout the body, it may contribute to more efficient energy use, meaning your body is better equipped to use the food you eat as fuel rather than storing it as fat. Citrulline is also present in higher concentrations in the rind of the watermelon than in the flesh. So if you are juicing watermelon or blending it, including some of the white rind dramatically increases your citrulline intake. Something worth knowing if you are looking to maximize the benefits. I have put together some helpful resources and links in the description and the pinned comment below if you want to go deeper on the nutritional science behind watermelon and weight management. Everything is there for you. Check it out at your own pace. Alright, reason number 5 addresses one of the most common objections people have about eating watermelon for weight loss, the sugar content. Yes, watermelon contains natural sugar. A 2-cup serving has around 18 grams of sugar. And when people hear that, they immediately assume that watermelon must cause a blood sugar spike, which would then cause a crash, which would then trigger hunger. It is a reasonable concern, but the reality is more nuanced. The key concept here is glycemic load, which is different from glycemic index. The glycemic index measures how quickly a food raises blood sugar in isolation. Watermelon has a moderately high glycemic index. But glycemic load accounts for the actual amount of carbohydrate in a realistic serving, and because watermelon is so high in water content, the actual carbohydrate load per serving is relatively low. The glycemic load of a standard 2-cup serving of watermelon is around 5, which is considered low. That means the blood sugar impact of a realistic serving of watermelon is actually quite modest, despite the fruit tasting sweet. The sugar is diluted across an enormous volume of water, which means it enters your bloodstream more slowly and with less dramatic effect than the sweetness might suggest. This is an important distinction because it means watermelon does not tend to trigger the spike and crash cycle that leads to renewed hunger shortly after eating. You get the sweetness, the volume, the satiety signals, without the blood sugar roller coaster that processed sugars create. Reason number 6 brings us to lycopene, and this one connects hunger to something most people never think about, which is inflammation. Watermelon is one of the richest dietary sources of lycopene, the antioxidant that gives it its red color. Lycopene is a powerful anti-inflammatory compound, and the connection between inflammation and hunger is more direct than most people realize. Chronic low-grade inflammation, the kind that builds up over time from poor diet, stress, and environmental factors, disrupts the normal functioning of hunger and satiety hormones. Specifically, inflammation is associated with leptin resistance. Leptin is the hormone your fat cells produce to tell your brain that you have enough stored energy and do not need to eat more. When leptin signaling is disrupted by inflammation, your brain stops receiving that message clearly, and you feel hungry even when you have adequate energy stores. By providing a meaningful dose of lycopene with each serving, watermelon contributes to reducing that inflammatory load. Over time, reducing inflammation supports better leptin sensitivity, which means your hunger signals become more accurate and easier to manage. This is not a dramatic overnight effect, but as part of a broader dietary pattern that prioritizes anti-inflammatory whole foods, watermelon's lycopene content contributes to the kind of hormonal environment that makes hunger easier to regulate. And by the way, if you are interested in a deeper breakdown of how inflammation affects hunger hormones and weight management, that is a topic I am planning to cover in a future video. Drop a comment if that sounds like something you want to see. Now let's talk about how to actually use watermelon strategically to eat less, because knowing why something works and knowing how to use it effectively are two different things. The most effective approach is timing. Eating watermelon 20 to 30 minutes before a main meal gives your stomach time to register the volume and water content, and allows the early satiety signals to reach your brain before you sit down to eat. This pre-meal strategy is one of the simplest and most research-supported ways to naturally reduce how much you eat at that meal without consciously restricting yourself. As a snack between meals, watermelon is particularly effective because its combination of water, natural sugar, and fiber provides genuine satisfaction. The kind that actually quiets cravings rather than just delaying them. When you are reaching for something sweet mid-afternoon, a bowl of watermelon delivers that sweetness while keeping your calorie intake low and your hunger in check. A few practical tips worth knowing. Chilled watermelon tends to feel more satisfying than room temperature. The cold temperature slows the rate at which you eat it, which gives your satiety signals more time to kick in. Eating watermelon in chunks rather than blending it into juice preserves the fiber and the chewing time, both of which contribute to fullness. And pairing watermelon with a small amount of protein, a few pieces of feta cheese, a handful of pumpkin seeds, some Greek yogurt, adds staying power and turns it into a more complete snack that keeps hunger away for longer. A commonly referenced study involved overweight adults consuming watermelon versus low-fat cookies as a snack. What the available research consistently supports is that high water content foods eaten before or during meals meaningfully reduce overall calorie intake. Watermelon, as one of the highest water content whole foods available, fits that evidence base well. The combination of volume, water, fiber, and low-calorie density makes it a genuinely practical tool for anyone looking to manage hunger and reduce calorie intake without feeling deprived. It is also worth being clear about what watermelon is not. It is not a magic weight loss food on its own. Eating watermelon while maintaining a diet that is otherwise high in processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and excess calories will not produce meaningful weight loss results. Watermelon works best as part of a broader dietary pattern that prioritizes whole foods, adequate protein, and reasonable calorie balance. But within that context, as a pre-meal appetite suppressant, as a satisfying low-calorie snack, as a replacement for higher-calorie sweet foods, watermelon is one of the more practical and enjoyable tools available for managing hunger and supporting weight loss goals. And if you want to check out more on how specific whole foods can support hunger management and weight loss, subscribe to not miss the next video.